this project, it's called the ugly move. And yes, every time in business you dive into it, you're going to end up having to do some things that are uncomfortable, difficult, and sometimes just flat out ugly. This is one of those things. Most organizations that have multiple sites will have a central district or headquarters, and they have employees who aspire to be located there. It is awesome to be in the same place where the CEOs and the C-suite executives walk around every day, and you get to rub elbows with them and feel like you're one of them. It's really true. I've done both. In the college world, I was at a campus, then I was a C-suite person on the college campus, and then I got promoted to the district office. I'm surprised that, really? You think this is where the action is? I'm sorry, it's actually on the college campus, not here. But they love it, and they aspire to be there. And now, all of a sudden, you are going to be the one, the supervisor, and your company decided to move your department 12 miles away. Not only that, it's down the 405 and there's higher crime, and you get to leave the company's world headquarters because they're making space for somebody else out there. Oh my gosh, it is ugly, and you're the leader, and you want to fight. You sat there and you argued and everything else behind the scenes. I don't want this to happen, but yet it's going to happen, and you're the one that's in the department, and you look bad to your department because they have to leave because you didn't fight hard enough and you lost the battle. They may whisper behind your back, except we have to follow the I concept of management. Yes, the I, wait a minute, it's the wrong I, the I concept of management. I learned this in my very first job, and it's done very well for me in the aspect of what it means to be the I concept management. Pretty much, it's where a team leader, you express your concerns in private, but regardless, you have to support the end decision. Even if you do not get your way, you must support the team. Once upon a time, I had a boss. Okay, she was a chancellor at Oakland Community College District. Her name was Patsy. Patsy was a Texan, and she moved herself up to Michigan. Patsy was tall to begin with. She was 5'10". And then on top of that, she had flaming red hair, and she always wore heels. And then she put her hair on top with a giant bouffant hairdo. Patsy was 6'4" by the time it was all done. And you probably can't see it on this video, but I'm not very tall. So she was taller than me. So Patsy, she was a chancellor. Our president left. We hired another one to come in. So she was going to be the chancellor of a 5-college district and my college president at the largest of the 5 campuses. She felt she could do both. She was pretty tough, and frankly, she could. So she sat down there, and she wants to run everything her way. I have students lining up for registration, and this is before we used a lot of, there were no cell phone registrations at the time. I literally would be faced with a 50 to 70, sometimes 100 students in line waiting to pay their bill. I had multiple cashiers going. I had my registers going nonstop. I was working as a chief business officer at the college. So the phone would ring, and she sat there. She says, "David, I want that phone answered by the 3rd ring. And if it doesn't, then you got to pick up the phone." Patsy, I got to tell you, I've got 100 students in line, and they're super important, and I have to service them. And a lot of the times, I'm helping the cashiers up, making certain I have 7 registers going. I got people in the hallway. I've tried several different things. I said, those people that showed up there actually are more important than the ones on the phone. I have to deal with them both, I know, except they showed up. I need to deal with them. Regardless, I want that phone answered by the 3rd ring. So next morning, I have a staff meeting. And the staff meeting, I sat there and I said, okay, we have to answer the phone by the 3rd ring. I'll try to answer it if you're all tied up. He said, but we're all tied up. We're so swamped. It's registration time. I said, fine, I'll pick it up. I said, we have to answer by the 3rd ring. And so I got so much pushback from all my cashiers and my office staff. And I said, Patsy said, so we're going to do it. Later on that afternoon, she sat there, comes into my office, all 6'4" of her. She plops in the chair. She says, I heard you blamed me for answering the phone by the 3rd time. Well, I didn't blame you. I just said that you said it. In other words, you blamed me. You threw me underneath the bus. I said, listen, I says, have you gone outside and looked at my line? I literally had 110 people in line, and those people are important. Your students are bringing money in. I want to service them as fast as possible. So they are the most, David, I said by the third ring, and don't you ever do that. And I was on Patsy's blacklist. And she had a blacklist, and normally she got rid of those people on the blacklist, except I have a nice diplomatic style about me. I said, Patsy, I was wrong. I fessed up to it. I threw myself underneath the bus and let her roll the tires back and forth over the top of me multiple times. I says, so I was the only one, the only administrator to survive being on her blacklist and coming back out because of my charm. Plus, I'm also a hard worker. Regardless, use the I concept, use my experience of Center being rolled over multiple times by a bus nonstop. Don't do the same thing. When you come out of your meeting, you need to plan to openly support the move and not blame the people above you for the move. Of course, in your memo also, you're going to use the memo sandwich, positive, negative, positive. So you have all the information in the process. So go forward on the ugly move memo and get that in and make it interesting and make certain that it's polished, professional, just like, because this might happen in real life. Take care.